Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount of eligible phone. Additional terms apply.
Welcome back to Mama Mystery, where we're on our third take. Don't delete it.
I am your host, Kelly.
This is real life. I'm Austin, and we've redone this take 3 times. And hello.
It's your fault.
My ass. Let's dive into the show.
All right, so we're
husband and wife is what we are, if you can't tell. And she likes crime and I don't, but I listen to her because she does a good job telling it.
Yeah, you know what's funny? This is a Patreon exclusive episode. All these people already know this.
Oh, I thought it was the regular people episode.
Nope, this is an exclusive for our Patreons that we love and adore.
Let's go, VIPs, baby.
So this case was recommended by Patreon, Katie Mays. Thank you so much, Katie, for your recommendation.
Thanks, Katie. She looked at me like I was supposed to say it also.
Something?
We really appreciate all you Patreons.
Jeez Louise. So today we're talking about the wife swap murders. Are you familiar with the show Wife Swap?
I am familiar with that show.
You are?
Yeah, I watched it a long time ago where they always pair them with the worst people. Like they'll pair like a type A person with like a household where it's like not type A.
Not at all.
And then they'll place like and vice versa.
Yes, I've watched it a few times as well.
I'm also familiar with like wife swapping, like.
Don't get crazy. Okay, I'm pregnant. There's no telling how I might react to what you're thinking right now.
I was going to say I don't know.
Go ahead. I dare you.
Let's go. A bomb just went off outside. Okay, let's roll.
So the episodes are pretty repetitive. If you've seen one, you've essentially seen them all. The premise was to take 2 families with dramatically different lifestyles, ideals, morals, even religious backgrounds, right? Pluck the wives out and switch them. For a week, the wife had to abide by the house rules that were already established, and then the second week, they got to implement their own ideals on the new family. So some of the more notable episodes of the show included, for example, Alicia Guastafaro, I think is how you say her name.
Jiminy Christmas. Can you imagine having to learn to spell that in like 2nd grade? Hell with that.
That's a long one. She was so cringy to watch. She was actually the daughter of the wife who swapped, so she was kind of young. I think she was like in high school at the time. She was so insanely spoiled. I ultimately turned the show off because it was so painful to watch. Her mom did absolutely everything for her, including her homework, bought her whatever she wanted. Every single day was Christmas. So she got to open gifts just for being their daughter on like random days. It didn't matter. She was a pageant queen who would routinely get spray tanned by her own dad.
Ugh. That's weird.
Cringe.
That reminds me of Sweet 16. That was a show back then that was hard to watch too.
Yes. So I guess she went on to eventually turn 21 and really made a name for herself after she met an attorney, James Doyle, who would bi-weekly pay her between $500 and $700 to spend the night with him and have sex. And I'm not an attorney, Mr. Doyle, but that sounds a lot like prostitution, which I don't believe is legal in any state. And she was actually arrested with James after they were pulled over for erratic driving and ultimately found slumped over and passed out in their car in like a travel plaza. So I think since then, she's been trying to like make it as an influencer, but that's just one example of a contestant on the show. Another notable episode is King Curtis. Have you ever heard of King Curtis?
I've not.
Oh my gosh. So I remember King Curtis way back in the day. I used to quote him all the time. Bacon is good for me.
Oh, I remember that.
That's King Curtis.
Okay.
I gotta tell you something.
Bacon is good for me because they wouldn't. She wanted him to eat healthy.
Yes, and he was eating all the fried food, and she comes in here like she's the queen, and we're the sorry people.
I do remember that. You do a pretty good impression. I mean, I haven't heard him forever, but I feel like you do a pretty good job.
Yes. Okay. So if you
Bacon
haven't,
is good for you.
I gotta tell you something. Yes, that's King Curtis. So he was really funny. I mean, he's like not a kid I would want to have, but he was funny to watch. So if you haven't heard of him, go Google him. He's pretty funny. But
that reminds me also of that kid. This has nothing to do with wife swap, but that kid that's like a viral thing that goes, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. I used that GIF.
GIF. It's not peanut butter. It's a GIF.
Okay, Austin. Anyway, I
Don't be a
use him all the
smart
time.
ass. It's called a GIF, and I'm just helping you, LaJala.
Oh my God!
You got that?
Are we gonna?
You got that pregnancy too. I don't know how much longer we got in this episode. Because what are we, like 5 minutes in?
You're about to become an episode.
That's freaking too far. And now, you know what? If you ever really did something, I think, honest to God, the Patreons would help incriminate you.
I don't think so.
There's some of these Patreons like me. If they're Patreons, they actually probably like me on the show. You know what's funny? Since we have Patreons on the show, I'll tell you guys a lot about the regular ass listeners. I'm just joking. I appreciate all listeners.
This is going to be a preview. It's eventually going to cut off. And I'm going to be like, if you want to listen to the rest of the episode, you got to become a Patreon.
Well, maybe you cut it off before I say this. But the point is, I was trying to make them feel special. You could have let me in on this. You don't tell me anything. Listen, we're all regular people, but the Patreons are a little more special.
Oh, my God.
Listen, they get it. What I was going to say was the Patreons, they probably for sure like me if they're paying for it, whereas a lot of the regular listeners don't. We get a lot of reviews bashing me, saying I'm bullshit.
You know what's funny? The only negative reviews we ever get are about you.
I know. It's because you either, I don't know, love me or hate me. I'm not for everybody.
He's not going to change.
Not changing, seriously. Just go listen to freaking, I'm not even going to call out the other podcast. What happens next?
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to King Curtis. In 2015, he created a GoFundMe to raise money for a car because he said the show never paid him any money, which I don't think they're actually supposed to do. But the page was ultimately taken down. So I don't know if he's changed much. But needless to say, the show has had some memorable characters as the producers tend to pick the more extreme families to participate. But while most of those families draw attention for their comedic or shock value, one family drew attention for a heinous crime that took place after the show aired. So today we are talking about the Stockdale family from Ohio. And if you want to hear this story, go to patreon.com/Mama Mystery.
Is this where you're cutting it off? Yes. We appreciate all listeners.
Thank
Mama
you.
Mystery out and then back in.